happy 80th birthday, Peter Criss. Thank you for everything you've contributed to music and life and art itself. The one and only Catman, drummer of Kiss, original drummer of Kiss. Here is an image of me and you hanging out together at the Monsters Fest at King of Prussia, Philadelphia. This is when I was living in Dallas, Texas, but I saw this one and only event, first event in years. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta go get the signature. It was the last remaining signature of the 4 members, so I'm glad I went. Yeah, I was still testing out beard length and hairstyles here, but this is a little over a year ago, actually. So yeah, a lot's changed in it. This has been a significant year. But so when I first showed up, I flew out and got a night at the hotel. First time in Philly, first time in King of Prussia. I was, it's at this casino, and I knew there was going to be a photo op. I did not know if there was going to be an opportunity to get a signature. And that was the whole reason I flew there, got hotel tickets. And when I was waiting for this photo op, which turned out was going to be absolutely no signatures allowed, apparently he was doing a last-minute pre-signing. And I had to weave down through all these hallways in this hotel. Imagine like a conference center attached to a hotel, trying to find where the hell is Peter Criss? Somewhere in this maze. Finally, I see a conference door open and a bunch of people with Kiss shirts on. There he is. There they are. So I get in line, and I'm a little anxious because I know whatever. I don't remember the times. Let's say in an hour and a half the photo op was supposed to start. Well, the line was really long and really slow, and sometimes there were chairs, so you would sit down sometimes, stand up sometimes, and 30 minutes would go by, 45 minutes goes by, and you're slowly making your way up, and you're not sure, and I get close to the front, and I see some people going, "Oh," and then leaving the line. I'm like, wait, they're at the front of the line. Why are they leaving the line? And then I get to the front and realize it's not because he's done. It's because it's $80 cash to get his signature. And so I had $100 cash because I just, before the trip, thought it would be smart to get $100 cash. So I don't know who's out there listening. This is your sign to get $100 cash to whatever you're going to next. The universe wanted you to hear this message. Just get the cash, just in case. Put it back in your bank if you don't end up spending it. But yeah, I think it's always safe, especially travel, especially at events, have $100 cash, just in case. Because the people in front and behind me had to leave. And I'm like, sorry, sucks for you. Give me my $20. I'm going to go get my signature. And yeah, I got a moment to speak with him. It was mostly me talking. And I basically said how I'm a rock musician and trying to make something happen. And hopefully you'll see something of me in the next few years. And I remember it kind of just being like, oh, okay, kind of a response. And then walked out, chilled, could not believe I had the final signature, just kind of wasn't airing it for probably too long. Is this thing on? Yeah, thank God. And, yeah, chilling, and then the photo op was no pressure because I knew I had the tickets, and I was in line, there was no time frame for that. Even though they did amazing choreography here with him behind the kit and the cool background, I almost just wish it was us standing in front of the kit together. Like it almost looks fake, like a green screen, but it was not. It was real. This was a real picture right here. The sparks were added. It was us in front of a green screen, but he was really sitting there with the drum kit and the sticks. The really cool thing is, before they started the photo op, we saw him walk in and he played the drums for a minute. He did some cool jazzy things. I wish we could see more videos of Peter Criss drumming and drumming jazz, because apparently that's his thing. He's all about jazz. And you hear snippets, and there's a video from a few years ago of him at this private event drumming, doing a lot of Krupa sounding stuff. And then you hear the ghost notes in the Kiss songs. But yeah, like studio sessions and playing with more jazz bands, that stuff would be really cool. Okay, so that's my personal experience with the amazing Peter Criss. Let's see if I can... How do I get this picture to go away? Yes. Oh no! I made me go away. Oh no. Of course it did that. Video capture device. Okay. Device. Webcam. Back. Okay. Apologies for the viewers at home. Peter Criss. Here's the breakdown. Peter George John Criss, but that's not correct. Peter Criss birth name. George Peter John Criskula. Brooklyn, New York. Grew up on jazz, big band, swing, Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich. Major influences. Played in multiple New York City bands, most notably Chelsea, which was bluesy, proggy. He was older than the rest of Kiss. Yeah, because the other guys are still in their mid-70s. Brought experience and discipline. Wow. That's probably an early Kiss thing that he brought to the table. Known early on for a looser, jazz-informed groove, not a strict hard rock basher. This has to do a lot with the Kiss sound and why after he left, they became like this like hard rock, studio tight sounding band that you can argue maybe lost some of the magic. You know, back then it was loose and it's just the chemistry. Answered a Rolling Stone ad placed by, it wasn't Rolling Stone. This thing is hallucinating. It was something Variety. It was called something or something like that. It was a New York City newspaper. It was not Rolling Stone. By Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and it said, if it was the same ad that Ace, maybe it was a different ad that Ace saw. That's a good question. Yeah, Peter was the musician's musician in early Kiss, which is crazy because that's not what Paul Stanley says in his autobiography. It's kind of a, I don't know. Co-founded Kiss, created the Catman persona, gritty, streetwise, emotional. Signature contributions, Beth, massive crossover hit, changed how the public saw Kiss. Yeah. Oh, I just realized this camera view. This is spread out. Here we go. We're back. Okay. Beth. That was Kiss's biggest hit, right? Hard Luck Woman. Also one of Kiss's greatest songs. Peter on the vocals. Also, Black Diamond is one of Kiss's greatest songs. Go listen to all three of those right now in the opposite order. Black Diamond, then Hard Luck Woman, then Beth. Those are all Peter Criss on the vocals. He has the scratchy Rod Stewart style vocal, radio-friendly rock. Those three songs are songs that Kiss did not remake the style of later. That would have been cool for them to look at like in the 80s or 90s, like why can't we make like a 70s, one of those soft rock acoustic guitar songs? Why do we keep having to make, you know, I feel like the Revenge album or some of their 80s and 90s stuff is just feels like a British studio session heavy rock thing. Comment if there's a song that I've missed. And by the way, yeah, comment your favorite Peter Criss song. Creative control battles for sure. Gene and Paul dominance, but that it goes both ways. Like Paul talked about, either Paul or Gene, there was a meeting where they were making big decisions for Kiss, and Ace and Peter were throwing little pieces of food at Gene and Paul. during the meeting, and then the next day they like were implementing the decision, and Peter and Ace were like, "Why'd you guys make a decision behind our back? You should include us. Let us be in the like. Why didn't you tell us about this?" And they were like, "Guys, that's what we met about yesterday. Like when you guys were like drunk and high and throwing food at us." So I will say, like, I can see how, like, in the late days, like, you know, you can say the official, I don't know what you want to say, but I can see both sides a little bit sometimes. Sometimes both sides went too far. Who knows? It's increasing use of session drummers on later albums, left in 1980, returned for 1996 reunion, make up massive tours, nostalgia peak, final exit in 2004 after disputes over performance standards and image. And I believe Ace left first, like a couple of years before that, and Peter stayed longer. In the original run, it was the opposite. Peter left first, and Ace stayed for an extra album or two. I laughed when, in Paul Stanley's book, when he talks about Peter quitting Kiss for the first time back in 1979 or right around then, how it was like they had the final conversation, and then Peter picked up his makeup kit and left. Like, after, like, 10 years of a famous band and touring, and like the one belonging he has is this little makeup kit. He's like, "I've taken what's mine and I'm getting out of here." Peter humanized Kiss. When the band went corporate tight, his loose soul didn't fit anymore. That's really important to Kiss context. That says a lot in that one sentence. After Kiss. Okay, this is what I'm interested in. What was he up to after Kiss? Released solo albums, leaned into jazz, blues, classic rock. 2007, One for All, statement record claiming identity. Retired from touring in 2017 due to health and age. Publicity reconciled his legacy, less bitterness in later interviews. Publicly reconciled his legacy. Regained respect among drummers for feel over flash, swinging a band known for spectacle. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Kiss 2014. Jazz-rooted grinder, New York City club veteran. Emotional heart of Kiss. Yeah, that's a good rundown. I'm trying to remember. One thing that I remember, I've read Peter's book until around the part where they were touring with Rush, which is still early Kiss. And I remember him saying that he picked Catman because that was similar to his personality. Kind of like a lovable, like you gotta approach him slowly, but over time you bond with him. But he can also be feisty, that kind of thing. I remember he's raised in a strict Catholic school upbringing. Yeah. And then here's the big news. His new album just came out. I think it's called Peter Criss. Peter Criss new album. Peter Criss, release date 2025. And yeah, it's called Peter Criss. Now, I'm confused because it's not on YouTube Music. And I don't know for sure about Spotify, but I think it's not on Spotify. I think you have to buy it through one of the official channels still. So I'll be looking for that. I heard a clip, sounded good, but 5 seconds as opposed to a whole album. So I'm really interested to hear Peter Criss's new album. Go listen to it. And my name is Alex Goff. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to start uploading lots of videos like this frequently. So subscribe to support. Stay around. I'm a rock musician in Los Angeles, so I also make original music. I have a huge vinyl collection, and I'm about to start uploading videos in this new year, 2026, about my vinyl collection. I'm going to go one by one. I just scored some awesome new stuff. So yeah, check out my original music and like this video if you're this far. Comment your favorite Peter Criss memory or moment, and what do you want to talk about next? There's a lot of stuff going on. Rolling Stones canceled the tour. Yeah, we'll be in touch. Peace out.